AusStage was tremendously useful to me when I was in the role of Artistic Director at the State Theatre Company.
Artists, directors and writers are interested in people, yeah? Because the performing arts is about collaboration, yeah? It's about who's been working with who. And so the database provides a way to, you can look at the record of a person and you can see the events that they've worked on. And if you drill down into those, you can see who people have been working with. We've also partnered with the Performing Arts Special Interest Group of Museums Australia. It's been really important to have the collections sector involved because they're the custodians of a lot of the material evidence of live performance from the past. Theatre researchers are very good at working with text, and we're also good at working with the evidence of performance, of what happens, on the inside of the performance, the photographs from the plays, the prompt books, the posters, and so on. And what we've been able to do with the network interface is to look at a person and see all the people they've worked with in one picture, and to see how many times they've worked with each of those people, and to see the connections between all of those people. So we can now start to explore not just the connections between people and the events they've worked on, but directly the connections between people. What we've been able to do with the mapping service is to look at where the venues of performance are in Australia and where they've been over time. In our database, Geoffrey Rush starts off in a number of theatres in Brisbane, and then over time he moves to Sydney and is involved in a number of productions around Belvoir Street, and then we start to see him travel and to productions in Adelaide or in Melbourne, and he's zipping about in this triangle for a while, and then we see him go overseas. You can start to track these patterns in careers, and also the patterns in a company's touring or profile, the spread of their work across the country and overseas.
The current project is to document, it's archival in the first place, because it's a matter of documenting all the performances that happened within a particular period. And I've chosen the very first 5 years of settlement in Coolgardie. Having gone to the archive and actually located the performances and the information, the next job is to enter them into AusStage, into the database, which is a good way to organise them. And then I'm going to use the mapping service to really look at the way in which performance functioned in that society in order to bring people together within a community, to go to the mapping service to actually locate the performances, the venues, I should say. The mapping service works principally from venues. Once you locate a venue and you geocode it and put an icon there, you can open the icon and you will get a list of the performances, the events that were there. And then you can link from that performance event that you're interested in back into the AusStage database. But it's also important to get a sense of the proximity of the venues and the people who use them, particularly in a place like Coolgardie. And we've actually gone into streetscape with the Cremorne Gardens. The Cremorne Gardens were between those two buildings. The far building is the Cremorne building, which was adjacent to the gardens. And if you look across the road, you can see the current Moran stores, which is interesting to me because the Morans were amateur performers, singers basically, and actors. And there's a sense of the domesticity and the intimacy of the space in this place. It's not a big city, it's a place where there's lots of interaction, close interaction between the performers and their venues and their audiences.
As an artist of live performance, I am so interested in what my audience feel and think about a work, not because I want to become slaves to their tastes, but because I want to understand what is the impact of my work.
It's closing the circle. In terms of, we've done a lot of work with researchers and we're doing work with companies and artists, but this new service, which is about giving spectators an opportunity to record their thoughts about what they're seeing, their thoughts and feelings about the performance, using their mobile phones, sending in information. Artists like to know what the audience think. They like to know what kind of experience the audience has had.
AusStage is a living tool, I think, for living artists. It really helped me to assess what was being funded across the whole country and where there might be a lack of funding that we weren't attending to as the theatre board.
The big change that's come about in our field is that AusStage allows us as researchers to collaborate. It's provided a hub and a focus for researchers in the performing arts to gather around, and it provides a pool for them to share what they know. On an international level, it's unique.